Hey guys, welcome to another Kreation Station video. Today I want to talk a bit about collaboration, in particular a couple of albums that have come out recently, Slayer and Arch Enemy. Stick around. Welcome back to another Kreation Station video. Kirk here. So today I want to talk about a couple of albums that come out recently, namely Slayer, Repentless and Arch Enemy, World Is Yours. So no, that's not the name of the album, is it? Will to Power. World of Yours is the single. So from a perspective of collaboration, so really got me been thinking about this for a long time. Want to make this video for a while, just a bit of a discussion, I guess. So Slayer obviously now have Gary Holt, replacing the sadly too soon lost Jeff Hanneman in that band, and then Arch Enemy now have Jeff Loomis on lead guitar. So I just think in both cases there's a bit of a lost opportunity here. For me, well, this channel, it's called Kreation Station because I really want it to be about collaboration and hoping to build it up into something where, you know, making music with people all over the world. And as a fan, I'd love to hear collaboration, and I'd love to hear what happens when different people get together to make music, particularly people, you know, with distinct styles, and, you know, what happens when you mix those together. And we'll talk later about some notable examples of that. But in these cases, I think, yeah, it could have been more. And it's not so I don't like these albums. I think they're great albums, and they continue what these bands do very well. So let's talk about Slayer first. You know, it is a good album. It seems like it's going to be their swan song. You know, could be worse ones to go out on. I think it's probably a stronger album than World Painted Blood. Certainly production-wise, I think that album was let down by production, unfortunately. But anyway, this album, we've now got Gary Holt in there. So leading up to it, I was really excited to see, you know, if you let Gary Holt run loose in Slayer, what the hell does that sound like? You know, in Exodus, it's quite a different sounding band, still thrash and all, but people who listen to both bands for a long time will know what I'm on about. But they've got very distinct styles, and I'm super keen to see, you know, what happens when maybe Gary and Kerry sit down and try and write a song together. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Kerry took the view that, you know, look, Slayer is Slayer, it has to be what it is, and it needs me to write the songs, and you know, Gary is relegated to just doing a handful of leads on the album. I understand, you know, it's a professional band, it's a brand, it's, you know, there's label pressure, no doubt, to do what they've got to do, so I'm sure that's part of it, but I'm talking purely as a fan. It would have been cool to see what happens. And Arch Enemy is much the same. So Arch Enemy now have Jeff Loomis. Jeff Loomis has a super distinctive style. If you listen to Jeff Loomis, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I highly recommend checking out his back catalogue. So his solo albums, Conquering Dystopia, I'll talk about that later as well, because that's a fine example of killer collaboration. And his band Nevermore. He's got a very particular songwriting style. Doesn't really sound like anyone else. His riffs, even his lead playing. So, you know, the leads on that album are killer. I love what he's done on it. But again, Michael Emmett, as the primary songwriter, took the view that Arch Enemy is what it is, and it needs to be a certain thing, and therefore, you know, he wrote the bulk of the songs, certainly the music, and Jeff certainly didn't. So again, don't get to find out what that is. Again, I understand there's a reason why it has to be that way, especially something like Arch Enemy. It's a very distinctive thing, and it is what it is, and it's a highly commercial thing too, I suppose, in the game they play. So, you know, more power to them, but I just would have loved to hear what it sounds like if it was Jeff let off the chain, as it were. So having said that, I think some good examples of collaboration recently. Testament, the last, what are we, 2 or 3 Testament albums, particularly with Gene Hoglan in the band. Now, notably, you know, just the drummer is a bit different to a songwriter and a guitar player, and, you know, someone's bringing a different harmonic and melodic influence to a band, but nevertheless, you know, I think Eric Peterson, as a primary songwriter in Testament, in looking at, you know, making of those albums, was keen to utilise Gene to the full extent of his capabilities, which are friggin' immense capabilities. Again, if you don't know Gene Hoglan and you haven't checked out his back catalogue, I mean, it's immense, but maybe start with Strapping Young Lad. He played on a Death album, and DethKlok, he played in that band, so Metalocalypse if you watch the show, or otherwise look up DethKlok albums. He's a crushing drummer, he's an absolute machine. There's a reason why he's called the Atomic Clock. But on the Testament albums, they let him off the chain. Go for it, man. Fill it up. Just go for gold. And, you know, especially the last album, Brotherhood of the Snake, is absolutely crushing, and the drum work on it is par excellence. So if you're a thrash fan, you've got to check that album out. It's one of the best albums of last year. It's the best thrash album to come out in a long time, and it probably trumps anything the Big Four have done, to be honest. Even it'll give Anthrax a run for its money, as much as Anthrax's last two albums are, you know, top of their game as well. So that's one example. Conquering Dystopia, as I say, so that's a project Jeff Loomis with another guy called Keith Merrow, guitar player, and then Alex Webster of Cannibal Corpse as the bass player, Alex Rudinger on drums. Now those two guys are also just absolute machines. Alex Webster, I'd sort of say you could almost look at it as sort of the Steve Harris of the death metal world. Cannibal Corpse, you know, I've been around for a damn long time. They're absolute legend. They've set a lot of trends for death metal, certainly the sort of more technical, brutal death metal. I know some people don't dig the growling. I highly recommend push past that, because if you discount it on that basis, you're missing out on an awful lot of freaking awesome riffage. And you know, the musicianship is really up there. It's high class, on all fronts. But Alex Webster's an incredible bass player. Alex Rudinger is an absolute monster drummer, technician. And, you know, what he's throwing into these beats and the way he's playing against what the riffs that Jeff and Keith are writing is incredible. So yeah, if you play any of those instruments, that's a band worth checking out, because it exceeds on all fronts. As a good example of a collaboration, just a couple other notable examples just to finish off the video, that come to mind really for no other reason. Isane, if I'm pronouncing that right, Ahshahn. If you haven't heard of him, previous of Emperor, he's got a number of solo albums now. I'm a massive fan, particularly of his solo work. Black metal ostensibly, but more progressive as well. Incredible singer, incredible songwriter, but nevertheless he's had some really cool collaborations. Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth sings on one of the songs on one of the albums, and it's amazing. And I can't think of the titles of these, but you can look them up. Devin Townsend also guests on one of his songs, and similarly then Isane guests on one of Devin Townsend's songs, Jular, off the Deconstruction record. Both of those are amazing, and they're a really good example of what happens when you meld those two very distinctive styles, and it works, and it comes across, and they're amazing songs in each case. So all of those I highly commend to you to check out as some new stuff to sink your teeth into if you're not familiar with them. But anyway, let me know, what do you guys reckon? What are some good collaborations? What are some maybe other lost opportunities, or ones that you were disappointed with? Let's talk about it, put it in the comment below. And as always, for YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps a lot. I'm trying to build this channel up, so every one of them that I can get is a big plus. Thanks guys, if you've made it to the end of this video, thanks for sticking around. I'll talk to you next time. Cheers.